Yapalinina Nina Mapli, Malaitana Nikatu, Malaitana Pakana. Welcome everyone to this place, Aboriginal land. These are the ancestral lands of the Needwonnee people. We pay our respects and thank you for allowing us to travel and walk on your country. Ulika.
This is remote, wild and spectacular southwest Tasmania, part of the Great Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. At the far end of a vast inland harbour lies Melaleuca. Just a little over 200 years ago, this was the homeland of perhaps 80 or more Needwonnee Tasmanian Aborigines, whose country extended from Port Davey to the New River Lagoon. We know little of the Needwonnee's lifestyle, save for the journal entries of a man named George Augustus Robinson. In the late summer of 1830, just 26 years after the British invaded Tasmania, Robinson led a small group along the south coast. His fellow travellers included 12 Aboriginal people from other tribes who acted as his guides. Robinson's mission, supported by the government of the day, was to find any surviving Tasmanian Aborigines and urge them to go with him to live in safety on the islands in Bass Strait. This, he was sure, would save them from a certain death from white man's disease and increasing conflict with white settlers. His was a misguided mission, but that is another story altogether. Robinson and his party spent nearly a month in the Needwonnee's homelands attempting to locate them. They saw numerous huts and walked in their well-trodden tracks. However, the Needwonnee remained elusive. Or perhaps they had already succumbed to European disease. This is a story about how a group of today's Tasmanian Aborigines worked together to rediscover some of the Needwonnee's lifestyle, and how they chose to share it with us. It's also a story about the importance of practising traditions to keep this 40,000-year-old culture alive and strong. Over a period spanning 12 months, more than 30 people from the Aboriginal community and from the Tasmania Parks and Wildlife Service worked in partnership to create the Needwonnee Walk. The first stage of the process was to construct a track. Purpose-built for this interpretation, the track weaves its way through several landscapes frequented by the Needwonnee. The moorland, the forest, and the lagoon. While the track was being built, the interpretation was developed around the theme of sharing stories and practising traditions. The Needwonnee Walk is a sculptural walk with both traditional and contemporary installations revealing some of the story. Some of the installations are permanent, while others are ephemeral, made of natural materials that will ultimately return to the landscape or require ongoing maintenance by future participants.
I came down with some members of the Tasmanian Aboriginal Land and Sea Council and Parks, and we walked the whole area and thought about possibilities. We've achieved a lot.
One of the key installations is the traditional campsite, featuring a dome-shaped hut. The participants were guided by Robinson's journal notes and the materials they found in the forest.
The frame was actually built out of native laurel. We found that it was sort of a bit more, you could get more of a natural curve with it, and it was a bit more flexible than the tea tree. For all of us, it was just a learning curve. Like, we all just tried to experiment, and that's what we ended up with. The end result was the hut, and it was a pretty good one too.
The traditional campsite also includes spears, waddies, a grinding stone and a digging stick.
The spears are mainly tea tree because of the tea tree grows pretty straight, and I suppose there's a lot of the old people they've virtually whatever's in the area they used. Going to fix it all up tonight and run it all over the fire to seal it all up.
The women also made baskets, a shell necklace, kelp water carriers, and created a hearth fire, taking great care to position the finished pieces.
Done.
The homelands and hunting grounds of the Needwonnee included inland waterways and a vast stretch of the southern coastline, where they visited offshore islands to go sealing. To cross water, they built canoes from paper bark. For this project, the canoe was built at the Tasmanian Wooden Boat Festival, where Sheldon Thomas, an experienced Aboriginal canoe builder, shared his skills with working on country ranger JD Jackson and Parks Aboriginal trainee ranger Sky Maynard. The canoe was later transported to Melaleuca and positioned on the banks of the lagoon. One of the permanent installations that forms part of this walk is a striking row of panels depicting the creation story of the first Aboriginal. The story was told to Robinson by Wireddi from the Bruny Island tribe and is particularly significant as the creation takes place here at Cox Bight in the Needwonnee's homelands. It was a profound, proud and humbling experience for members of the Aboriginal community to be in this landscape, walking in the footsteps of their old people.
And you can imagine the old fellas being here and to put up with the cold. I'm just amazed that they survived as long as they did. You know, they must have been really healthy, hearty people, I suppose.
I don't know, how do you explain the feeling? It's just a sense of pride that, that I've achieved it, and it's probably the first one that's been built in a couple hundred years. And I feel proud that, that I've built it here.
There's a calmness that comes over you. There's the ability that I can do this. It's like someone's telling you, yeah, sure, go ahead. And so you make it. And so it's very spiritual, very special.
For the participants, it was a privilege to be sharing part of some of their story with visitors.
When they go around that track when it's finished, they're going to get a real experience, Tasmanian Aboriginal cultural experience. So, you can't beat that.
Even if they spend 60 seconds and think about our old fellas, our ancestors, we've achieved something, a really good result.
There were strong benefits for working in a partnership between Parks and the Aboriginal community.
We're excited that we were able to work in like a joint partnership with Tausk and Parks.
And the effort that's gone into it, it's just amazing. I'm just grateful that I've had the opportunity to be able to come here, to be able to learn about this country.
And sharing the skills what we've learned off Sam and Sam's learned off us, and it's been good.
The Aboriginal people have taught me to look at the bush in a different way. For me, I've always looked there and kind of seen it as just purely a visual thing, but for them it's a really spiritual place. It's also a place that you can use almost everything around you to help out in some way.
The Needwonnee Walk is a living, changing, interpretive experience, a continuing partnership between the Aboriginal community and Parks and Wildlife, as future participants return or visit for the first time to refurbish the huts, create new installations and share more of the story. For the Aboriginal community, sharing our story and practicing our traditions is critical. It keeps our culture alive and strong. The Needwonnee Walk is another step forward in the process toward understanding, respecting and securing the future of the Tasmanian Aboriginal community.
Verna and I are teaching them, and so we expect them to be able to teach their kids and so on. So Aboriginal culture, our culture, is passed down from generation to generation, which is how we do it.
If we don't keep up our practices, we're going to lose it, and we've already lost it once. It's really, really important, just so important, and I really get fired up about it. I get emotional because it's just something that's been lacking for such a long time. So we need to say, no, we are here and we're not going away, and hopefully, who knows, in time, there could be lots of little cuts in different areas and other things that our old fellas did. So important.
Ria Pala Amie Amie Lupa Dudaza Ami